this burning out journey brought me to the reality that as women, we are way more prone, like 80% of women suffer from any other autoimmune condition. Women suffer this more than men. Hypnotherapy and self-hypnosis deals with the subconscious mind. So throughout the day, we only work 5% of the day with our conscious mind, and the other 95 is our subconscious mind running the show. When we are kids, when we are children, from the last 3 months of our mom's pregnancy until 7 years old, our brain runs in theta wave. So the theta waves are basically hypnosis.
You could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello everyone, today we're meeting Andrea Ramirez. She is a hypnotherapist, a channeler, and a spiritual coach. Hello Andrea, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Anna, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let's start our conversation by exploring your personal journey of becoming the one that you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
Well, I've always, since I'm a very young child, I have had a lot of what you could call metaphysical experiences. I would have premonition dreams, dream what was going to happen the next day or even years in advance, or sense energies and all this kind of like woo-woo stuff. But ultimately in 2018, I got very, very sick. I got a monster autoimmune flare-up for ulcerative colitis, which for me was a total shock. I've always been very, very, very healthy, barely one cold a year. So the fact that I got so sick was quite shocking. I ended up in the hospital for a month. I lost 10 kilos. The doctors weren't sure if they should discharge me or not. And during that time, I had a lot of time to reflect what was going on. So at that point, I was really burned out. I'm still an entrepreneur. I had another company that I still have, but I have delegated now some of the work about it. And the way that I was tackling work and my personal life was not healthy at all. And this was a succession of bad decisions that led me to burnout. And so I started wondering, why is it that me being kind of aware, ended up in that situation with my body basically saying no and bring me to I was 3 days away from kidney failure. I would have died easily. And during that time, I discovered Dr. Gabor Mate. He is a doctor specialized in trauma. And I understood that those early experiences that I had as a child growing up with a narcissistic parent did a very good job creating this concoction of programs that I had in myself that pushed me to excel beyond my human capacity, that pushed me to work more than anybody else in order to achieve success, with the result being getting sick, my body basically giving up. And that's when my journey started. And because I discovered that all of this is stored in our subconscious, I wanted to know how we can change our subconscious mind in order to manifest a conscious life that is healthier and happier and more successful for all of us. And so I became a hypnotherapist. And together with all the other holistic tools that I studied over the years and that I mastered over the years, I put together this concept of spiritual coaching that starts with hypnotherapy, but also add other type of modalities like energy healing and meditation, even color therapy, positive psychology, and many other tools. And through that, I've been able to help other entrepreneurs that were in the same situation as I was, that were burned out, to overcome burnout and to actually excel and enjoy what they do in a healthier way, and also to heal their lives. And this burning out journey brought me to the reality that as women, we are way more prone, like 80% of women suffer from any other autoimmune condition. Women suffer this more than men because a series of societal conditionings. And so, with two other friends, we decided to create Magical Audios, which is a project destined to help women through self hypnosis to overcome burnout and to build resilience. So, this whole experience of being burned out myself and dealing with an autoimmune condition that I had to observe my body and observe my thoughts and my emotions every day has really helped me to channel this into a healing mode, a way to give back to society, to give back to entrepreneur women, especially.
Wow. Yeah, I see how your childhood really shaped your kind of view on what burnt out means and how we can overcome that by accessing the subconscious mind and healing from changing, I guess, our belief system and what we hold to be true. And I just want you to really elaborate on how that hypnotherapy accesses what is stored in our subconscious and what is the process of releasing that, and how long usually you witness the change will come to life after you start using, let's say, the audios that you are releasing right now for women to help themselves.
So, hypnotherapy and self hypnosis deals with the subconscious mind. So,
Mhm.
throughout the day, we only work 5% of the day with our conscious mind, and the other 95 is our subconscious mind running the show. So, this is why it's so important and to pay attention to our programs. And by programs, I mean the things that stuck with us when we were growing up, trauma that have happened to us, maybe something that was traumatic and shocking that we didn't digest in the moment when that happened, might come back to us years after and manifest in any way, any
Mm.
different way. Um, our subconscious mind is something akin to a divine mind. It's extremely creative. It's very resourceful. And the only way to access it properly is through hypnosis, because when we are kids, when we're children, from the last 3 months of our mom's pregnancy until 7 years old, our brain runs in theta wave. So the theta waves are basically hypnosis. So every single thing that happened to us goes like a computer straight into that motherboard called the subconscious mind, and the program stays there. The nice thing, it's air quote, nice, is that we cannot see those programs. Other people see those programs for us. And they usually come out to play in interpersonal relationships with our bosses, with our siblings, with our families, with our romantic partners. And this is when, if we pay attention with our conscious mind, we realize the ways that we are triggered, the behaviors that are repetitive. And if we're really, really self-aware, we can ask ourselves, why is this happening and where is this coming from? Now, we cannot change a subconscious program with our conscious mind because it's only 5%. This is why most of the New Year's resolutions fail, because
Right.
we try to do them from our conscious mind, but we don't take care of the programming. So we cannot run that new app in our computer of our mind with this old program. We need to change it. We need to update it. So the process of a hypnotherapy session, a one-on-one session, is to take the person to a very relaxed state. It's like the computer when you close one by one all the tabs of your browser until there's only one tab open. And that is a very focused attention of your subconscious mind. So we take care of removing the conscious part by entering in a very relaxed state where we are very, very focused and very susceptible to suggestion. What I do, the way that I work, I talk to the subconscious mind to help find a way that is healthier, better, happier for the person that wants to sort out that issue. That issue could be phobias, could be programmings that took you to being completely burned out, self-esteem issues, or sometimes you might not even know exactly what it is. You just have to know what was it that put you in a situation that you want to change, and we can already work with that because subconscious is abstract. So sometimes we're short for words to describe what's happening to us, but we know it needs to change. So once that change work is done, I also use other techniques like neurolinguistic programming that I like to call it the language of the mind. And with that, we get to the end of the session. We close the session. I send you your recording so you can listen to it over and over again as many times as you like. And the technique that I work with is so effective that between 1 and 3 sessions, you can already deal with many of these things. Sometimes even one session is enough. And one session could be 20 minutes to an hour tops. So that is the power of our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind works 30,000 times faster than our conscious mind. So changes can happen in a split second. That is the powerhouse that we have that we don't use. And then with magical audios, for example, we have these programs to help with burnout and confidence and all that. And we advise people to listen to them before they go to sleep. So before you go to sleep, you put, your headset on. You can fall asleep. That's no problem. Why? Because when we're falling asleep, our brain enters naturally in theta waves, which makes you more susceptible to get the messages that you're receiving through the recording. And the recordings are built in a way that will help you walk through almost the same type of steps that you would have in a one-on-one session. And it's wonderful because we cannot see the program. So when we're changing, we don't really see it. Or we catch ourselves with a different behavior. For example, instead of receiving that email from that person that usually triggers us, suddenly we're receiving that email and reading it, and we are not reacting. We're taking action, cooperative action in order to deal with the situation, or a phone call, or even a meeting with the family. Now, after the holidays, many people got triggered, including me.
Yes.
So when we work with our subconscious mind, the level and reach of change, powerful, positive change that we can achieve, it's really amazing. This is why, for me, finding this is really one of the things that I love the most in my life, because I see how it helps people, how fast it's helped people to I wouldn't say change, but improve and let go of those old, outdated programs that were not serving them at all.
So as I understand, after having that recording, you listen it for a few times on your own, right? And you see that change being reflected into physical reality as connection with other people, as your behaviors, or the reaction in different situations, as of quite quickly, right? Once you start listening to them, so you see it right away, pretty much. Is that right?
Pretty much, yes, pretty much. It's really amazing, and it also works with people who are looking to, I don't know, artists, for example, that are stuck in a rut, writers that have a writer's block. It helps with creativity. It helps with an amazing range of things. that we might not really think too seriously about, but even enhance memory. So if you are someone that has to memorize a lot of stuff, it can help you. If you're someone who is in the art world, it can help you definitely. And plus all the other things that we know already, like anxiety and phobias and burnout and irrational fears. Um, Also with foods, with eating disorders, it can be a great ally. Together, obviously, working with a doctor that can guide you and everything. And when you combine, for example, therapy plus hypnotherapy, the results are just so incredibly fast and long lasting. It's really, really, I mean, I'm really passionate about it. So
Yes, I could see that. And like you mentioned, you have to be in the theta state. It's not our usual operating frequency, because as I understand, we're usually in beta, which is normal. And then to go to theta, it's you almost have to like start falling asleep or meditate. So it's not something you are experiencing in your daily life, but rather in before you go to sleep or just when you're waking up, so that kind of state. But you have to be also aware that you are suggestive at that state. So to do something about it, like you have to be intentional of doing that on purpose. It's not just happens.
yes, exactly. Being intentional is a big part of it because unfortunately, hypnotherapy has had a very bad representation in movies and in shows on
Yeah.
TV. So it's been ridiculed and denigrated a lot. But the power that it has is really incredible, and how easy it is to access it is if you find a person that you would get along with and to work with your subconscious mind. And being intentional is the first thing because hypnotherapy is not mind control. I cannot succeed if you don't
Mhm.
agree and if you're not intentional about wanting to create that change in your life. Because many people are identified by the traumas. I could go around in
Yeah.
my life saying, yes, my mom was a narcissist. So this is why my relationships were like this. This is why I got sick. So I can put that label and tell absolutely everyone that that is who I am. But that is just a circumstance, something that happened to me that I happen to have worked with, and that kind of spring me to become the person that I am today. So many people are very identified with their struggles and they don't want to let them go, as crazy as it sounds.
Definitely. And we find a lot of times ourselves in victim mindset, and it's just, unconscious that we do that. And maybe it's easier for some people to identify themselves as being that victim of circumstance, because then they don't take responsibility for change. And once we realize that we're the one that have the control over what we wish to experience from this point on, once we realize, once we're aware and present with what's going on at that moment, it could be instant change, really. It just takes your decision. And are you willing to do something about it? That's the question.
Exactly, because taking responsibility, as you said, is painful. To
Yeah.
realize that you have run in these programs, that you have tried your best, but you're still putting the blame on some circumstance. Okay, a very bad thing happened to you. That's fine, or maybe not so fine, but that doesn't define you. And if you go around walking in a victim mentality, what are you looking for? Attention? What are you looking for? Is this what you need to build your personality around in order to feel valued by others that will feel sorry for you? That's just a very blunt way to say it. But taking responsibility hurts because it's you realizing, I wish I had the tools to react better to what was happening to me. So I could
Mm.
have realized early what were the things that I could do in order to change that reaction in me so I can build healthier relationships, with my friends, with my family, with my coworkers, my boss, my romantic relationships. And it is sad at the same time because it crushes you a little bit. So it's not for the
Mm.
faint-hearted to take responsibility and say, you know, I have this problem. I want to get rid of it. I do not want negative attention, and I do not want to waste my energy being a victim of circumstance by running the same movie over and over and over again and not getting better. Nothing gets better. It just gets worse because you're rehearsing the same situation all the time. And when you do that, our brain does not distinguish from what is happening now, what is real and what is not real. So you
Yeah.
still release those chemicals from your brain into your body, into your organs. And this is why we get ultimately sick, because we are replaying that situation in that victim space, in that victim attitude, and our bodies are the ones suffering the consequences.
Yeah, pretty much we have this self-inflicting suffering that we put on ourselves by attaching to something that happened in the past, and we reinforce those chemicals, like you said, those emotional responses that come right now for what happened, I don't know, years ago, and we keep reinforcing that and keep living that reality, let's say, in our eyes, and it feels real because that's what we make out of it. And again, it's your choice. And if you choose to, if you decide to choose differently at this moment, this is how you change. But responsibility comes with a cost, but it eventually, it's worth it because once you realize that power is in your hand, you're no longer giving away your power. That's when everything changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And your circumstances change. Maybe the circle of friends that you thought you had changes. Your reality changes. And sometimes it's not so much about magic and woo-woo stuff that starts showing up, synchronicities. It's just that
Yeah.
your brain, your awareness is now open to receive that information that was always there. But now suddenly you can see opportunity. Now suddenly you are more aligned with the people that are or could help you to get where you want to get to be in life. Maybe someone that could be a mentor or someone
Yeah.
that could lend a hand, but not in a way that I am a victim and you're my savior, but in a more equalized way where there can be an exchange, where there can be mutual growth. And this is when literal magic happens because there is so much that is outside of our perception that we are like one of those old radios that you have to turn
Mm.
the knob in order to find the right frequency. So when we change those subconscious programs, we are moving that knob and putting ourselves in a different frequency where we catch a completely different signal. And this is when our reality changes. And this is when that job that you wanted manifests. And moreover, once you start working in that company, you feel okay. You're not burnout. You're not repeating the same cookie cutting behavior that you had in all those other jobs before. You don't grow disenchanted because now you don't give your power to your circumstance. You are empowered. When you realize that you are running on a program, when you realize you're repeating a situation, you can take responsibility and take action instead of being reactive.
Yeah, definitely. And also with us, taking it really like seriously, the information that we receive in the outside is just reflected to us to learn something about ourselves. And we don't have to feel bad about it or keep getting stuck in that situation, right? We just need to see it for what it is without labeling it, good or bad. It's just the information for us or that's brought to light for a purpose, for us to really like take in, learn some kind of lesson and move on and do something about it. Don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is like this meme that is going around with a bus going in a very narrow street, and there is one side, there is the hill, and the other side, there is a cliff. And the person looking at the window down at the cliff is like, oh, what a beautiful day. And the other person in the same bus looking at the hill saying, oh, what a terrible day.
Yeah.
It's all about what you do with your circumstance, how you process that information, because it's true, it's just information, it's there,
Mm.
it's a circumstance. So you can say, oh my god, this is terrible, why is this happening to me? Or you could say, okay, what's the action I can take? What is it that I can do with this? Is it learning something? Is this bringing my awareness onto something that will help me evolve, improve, set boundaries, um, learn to speak up for myself maybe? So yes, and that's a great part also of responsibility. It all boils down to that. I think pretty much.
Yes, and also I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they are worthy, right? And it comes back to realigning with your true self and know that you are worthy of feeling good because you're here for a reason. There is no mistake you're here. So by you just existing, you are worthy. You don't have to prove that to anybody. You don't need to see that validation outside of yourself. If you start realizing that and give yourself the best care possible that you can at this moment, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that's what you can do to propel forward into your evolution.
Exactly. And sometimes these feelings of unworthiness come from our childhood. So
Yeah.
sometimes we cannot put our finger on it. Why am I feeling like I'm not worthy? I'm great. I don't know, I've studied all these things, I've done all these things, I've traveled so much, I learn all these languages. I really excel. I'm like, my friends love me, but why do I feel so sad or empty or like I could never be enough? And that is what actually brought me to be burnout, because I wanted to
Mm.
excel so hard and I put painfully high bars for myself and for my employees, and which were basically impossible to
Yeah.
achieve. And learning that this comes from something that happened to you at some point that maybe you didn't register because you were a baby, maybe.
Mm.
um, Working with our subconscious mind and asking our subconscious mind to find that problem and and give me a better solution to it other than feeling like I'm not worthy. Our subconscious mind will say, okay, no problem. And in half a split second, that will come.
Mm.
It will bring you a new way of thinking, a new way of feeling, a new behavior, because it is simply a faulty program. And once you change that in the motherboard, the whole computer, it's like when you have one app that is not updated in your phone,
Yeah.
and then you have these general apps for the whole system of the phone. Maybe that one app that is not up to date is the one that the program says, okay, but I need to get rid of this app before I do the general update, because otherwise I can't.
Mm.
So that is basically what happens to us if we don't take care of those faulty programs in our subconscious mind. It We can, but it will be way more difficult with that 5% a day to overcome all these shortcomings of I am not worthy, why am I so afraid of everything, nobody likes me, or I cannot do this, or I need to excel at all costs, all these kind of things. So once you take care of that program, your whole awareness opens up, and then you start updating yourself. Then it's like a domino effect. You take care of the one thing and everything else starts sorting itself out. Maybe new things will show up and then you work with them. And then you have a domino effect again, or a quantum effect, because you can't
Mm.
really tell exactly the chain of events that will happen after you take care of those faulty programs. Because subconscious is like just happy to help. And your conscious mind is like, wow, now my life is so much easier. And then in your everyday, it's like, well, this is amazing because now I feel like I'm empowered, like I have power over my circumstance, my reality. And it's quite beautiful.
Definitely. And I know you work with different modalities, how to help in healing process for other people. And I just want to touch upon your channeling work. If you can just, let us know what type of channel you are, what type of energy you work with, and how it helps in, working one-on-one with the person, how it would look like, and what kind of information they could gain from that session.
Mhm. So the channeling is a form of mediumship, right? The channeling I connect to source energy or divine source energy. And from then I draw information. So we can work in a one-on-one session that way to bring insight and information from a higher mind to ourselves. I always like to think that modalities like channeling and even the tarot are modalities that take us out of our head and allow us to have the vision of the eagle. We're not the turtle that is walking on the floor, knocking the shoes and knocking against the furniture. We're now the eagle that has this eagle eye view over all your circumstance, all your reality, everything that is happening to you. So the type of messages are very loving. Sometimes source pulls your ear a little bit when you're a little bit off track, but it's always in a way that is very healing, and the advice is usually very personal to each person. When I am doing the channeling, I'm into a light state of trance where you could say, dissociate a little bit and let that information come in a way that I can translate it in words for the people. And it's not only the channeling from divine source, but it's also connecting to loved ones that have passed the veil, even with pets. Like I connect with my pet when
Mhm.
she's a little bit sick. I like to channel her consciousness so she can tell me what's happening, how she's feeling. And it's very rewarding in the sense that it brings closure for people that needs closure, but at the same time, sometimes it brings valuable information that, again, it's very personal to each person. um, so in that sense, it's rewarding for me because I'm in touch with that energy and I'm able to transmit this to the people. And I usually give the people the recording so they can listen to it over and over again, because there are so many nuances and things that are
Yeah.
said that I don't remember afterwards. Maybe when
Mhm.
I'm fresh out of trance, maybe I remember the next 5 to 10 minutes, but then I forget completely. So I've had cases of people that had suffered the loss of someone in a very tragic way, and channeling them, the person that has passed, is is just beautiful because they are in a place and a state
Yeah.
that we would all love to be. It's absolute ecstasy and love and peace and liberation. It's an absolute feeling of expansion.
Mhm.
So I came to realize that sometimes when we're sad because we have lost someone, it's our ego in a way, because they are back to source, and source is just pure 1000% unconditional love, and it's wonderful.
Wow. So when you come to the state when you channel, you receive information in terms of like I don't know, voices, or you just know what to say. How do you experience that? You just mentioned you don't remember afterwards, but when it comes, if any way you can describe it, the experience that you have.
Yes, I receive the messages as images and
Mm.
feelings. And because I speak different languages, depending
Yeah.
on what's the situation, I said please in English because sometimes when I do it for myself, they speak in different language and I get it. It's fine. But if
Mm,
it's for somebody else, it
yeah,
has to be very clear. So I said in
right.
English, please. and and then I see how they kind of look into the library of my brain for the
Mm,
words and pictures and sayings and examples. So I see it like a movie that is happening in front of the eye of my mind. And then in my heart, I feel the feeling, I feel the sensation. And something I've noticed lately that from my womb, my womb also contracts and expands when I talk, as if I was talking from my womb, which
oh,
is really
wow.
interesting. So
Interesting,
I
yeah.
feel this feeling when
Mm,
I'm channeling. And sometimes the tone of the voice changes because of the energy that comes through, and
mhm,
sometimes divine source, because it's the source of everything, manifests in its way to speak as a female or a male.
mhm.
um, and so when I am in this kind of feeling, I need to really step back. It's like I leave the driver's seat to source and I sit in the back
Mhm.
because they are the ones giving me the information, and my responsibility is to be the best channel I can be by removing myself from that equation and putting 1000% attention to what they are telling me. So
Yeah.
this is why sometimes when the translation happens, when the translation from energy and images and feeling to words happen, I say the same thing in three different ways until I find the one that adjusts more to what I'm actually channeling, what the message that is actually coming through. And it's helpful because in our conscious minds, for the person that is listening on the other end, they also need to have a more down to earth experience with it, because sometimes the messages are very spiritual, very high frequency, very mm, difficult to explain in human 3D consciousness understanding. So this is why I appreciate that they are so sweet and so nice. And by they, I mean
Mhm.
source, because
Yeah.
they always try to find the best way to help you translate those messages so the person can receive them as accurately as possible.
Wow. Yeah, it's beautiful. And like you mentioned, it could be those who leave their, you know, planet. They are no longer with us, even our pets, and just messages from our highest self. I would assume that we might be um, willing to literally like get and do something about the life that we have in right now, and maybe get some insight, perhaps something that will help us navigate our daily experiences. And that would be so much of benefit for people to explore that modality if they wish to. And I just wonder, for those who would like to connect with you online, how can they find you?
So they can go to my website, is andreahypno.com. So it's my name, Andrea,
Mm-hmm.
HPNO.com. They could also go, if it's women that are looking to improve confidence, boost confidence, get over burnout, and soon we're releasing one for insomnia and sleeping better, they can go to magicalaudios.com. And from magicalaudios.com and from andreahypno.com, you can access all my social media, YouTube, IG. I don't do TikTok. I'm too old for that.
Yeah, I will include everything in show notes as well. And as we close today, what would be the final thought for our listeners?
I would say observe yourselves. Observe yourselves with kindness and with compassion and with love. Every action that you take, every time you feel triggered, every time you say, why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling this way? Pause and give yourself a very, very big loving hug and ask yourself, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling like this? Try to find a way to support yourself. First of all, on your own emotionally, loving yourself and being selfish with yourself and your self-care. For me, self-care is my number one value in my life because I have seen how much self-care can heal you from any and all the wounds you might have had in your past, from absolutely any experience. Self-love, learning to love yourself unconditionally and radically, this can change your life. And this is when you say, okay, I'll do that step. I will work with myself with this modality or that modality or this other modality, or I'll go and talk to a therapist, or any which way. Self-care is the number one thing. And self-care is also taking responsibility for what we feel and how we react, and to start making ourselves the right questions to start changing our life.
Yes, thank you. I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you, you too.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.